welcome. We have Dr. Lebo with us and Robert Signor. I can't wait to talk about what they're doing and the platform that they have going on. We're going to have an interactive style. This is nothing like you guys have ever seen before. They're going to talk a little bit about what they do, where they're coming from, and everything behind the scenes of what's going on in the aging sector. Think age tech. I know I've talked to many of you guys about the word age tech. It's technology driven for the aging sector, by the aging sector. And we have an icon on this call, Dr. Lebo. He is going to tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll get into Robert and Thrive Pavilion. But Dr. Lebo, can you let us in on a little bit about yourself and your background, because you're a very fascinating man.
Well, thank you. In the context of what we're doing for the show, there's one version of me, which is a man who just finished half a century. The first time I taught a college class was 1973 as a professor of the evolution of the modern world, and with a particular emphasis on technology. But aside from that part, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I went to high school with Wozniak, who created, the whole Apple industry, with Jobs, who also went to the same high school. On the other hand, my son is a major world-class AI scientist. So in one sense, I am very invested in what's going on because I have this sort of idea, I hope it'll be true, that the technology that's emerging to complement the experience of aging is going to transform aging. I think aging will never be the same because there's so many elements of this. I mean, someone like me who doesn't want to end up in one of those more demanding homes, I visit them all the time because I know someone there, is sort of obsessed with aging well. And I see in this new technology, and particularly associated with things that Rob has done, is a way to physically, cognitively, socially, psychologically allow me to live in a much more healthy fashion on my home. We were talking about real estate. I already bought a place I can age in place in. I see these tools as being incredibly important. And part of me sees it as my future, and part of me just wants to add a new lecture on one of my classes on this topic.
Okay, so if people don't understand this, the trajectory of just computers and AI and everything that's going on from when we all grew up to where it is now it's huge. However, what I think is really cool, so within eXp Realty, we have lived on a virtual platform since conception, for as long as I've been there, and that's many years. And we have a virtual world. And so when Robert, as we're NAIPC members, National Aging Place Council members, Robert is one of our members, and he had talked to us about Thrive Pavilion. And Thrive Pavilion is essentially a virtual world for those that are aging. So Dr. Lebo, you are definitely on the right path, because we are heading in that direction, especially with what's coming, on our demographics going up, but aging in place and where we're going, but keeping healthy in the interim. This, Robert, what you've done is amazing, because this helps tremendously about it. I'll let you guys kind of describe what the platform is, how it's helping, and what you guys are doing for the aging sector.
Yeah, sure thing. So we have hopefully an exciting hour plan. So we'll do a couple things. I only have a couple of slides just to give you sort of the background on what the Thrive Pavilion is, just to give it some context. And certainly Steve, as a member, he's perfect really to talk about from the perspective of of how a member perceives it and what value it provide him personally. But I think also he can talk a bit broader too about other members. Then we're going to do something exciting. I'm going to put on my headset, and through the magic of Zoom, hopefully, we're actually going to go into virtual reality. You'll see our space that's called the Thrive Pavilion. And then we've got a group of about 25 or 20 members that are actually in there right now. And then we're going to play a really quick game of Jeopardy on a Jeopardy set that we built specifically by Thrive members for the Thrive Pavilion to do these type of social activities. So that's what we have. That's plan A. And I think so. It should be a fun
But
hour. So I appreciate
we always
everybody
have
joining
a
us.
backup plan just in
Let's
case.
have a backup
We have
plan.
a backup
That's
plan.
right.
But you know,
That's right.
the one thing I love about this is, when do you guys get to do a Zoom in a virtual world? Like, when he puts on his glasses, we're going to end up in his glasses and his view, so we'll be able to see everything. But oh, you guys are going to be in for a treat. We didn't get into Jeopardy because they didn't have Jeopardy. We did exercises and some other things. I can't wait. I'm very excited for this.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So what I'll just give you some really quick background on why Thrive exists, I guess, is probably, and sort of the onus. So the way that we look at it is, really the genesis of it was, as many things, really was the pandemic. So back in the pandemic, we all experienced social isolation. And certainly myself and my family, who we have older children that live far away, and we did the typical sort of Zoom calls and all those things that you did to try and connect with people. And oftentimes you get off those calls and you felt worse. And so my daughter, who lived in San Diego at the time, and I'm in Cary, North Carolina, we started playing around with doing things in virtual reality. And then one night, my wife was listening to what we were doing, and she was amazed that we were having such a great time. So the next night, all three of us were able to get on some headsets, because I had an older one. So we used the 3 headsets, and I can remember when my wife took the headset off, she said, I know Emily, who's our daughter, was not there, but it sure felt like she was. And that's kind of when the light bulbs went off, because my professional background is in technology. At the time, I was the chief product officer for an age tech company. So very familiar with what was happening with aging adults in CCRCs. And, people move into senior living because part of it is there is a social network, but that all went away during the pandemic. What I realized was that, even after the COVID restrictions would lift, there still were a lot of older adults that were going to remain isolated for various reasons. And so that was the problem, is like, can we do something with this technology that can help socially isolated older aging adults? So just some of the statistics that come from the National Institute of Aging: about 1 in 4 adults the age of 65 and older are socially isolated. And we know that the Surgeon General of the United States has an advisory on this, and the effects of isolation and loneliness is as dangerous as smoking or obesity or lack of physical activity. But the way the numbers work out is that equates to about 7.7 million adults over the age of 65 in the United States that are actually isolated. And the AARP public policy group did a study a couple of years ago, right, it was actually before the pandemic. It said that it was over $6 billion per year in additional medical care spending that is spent because of things that are related to isolation and loneliness. So it's a big problem, certainly in the United States, and there's lots of reasons for it. And we all work with aging adults. So we know that it could just be diminishing social circles because spouses or friends pass away or move away. Very often what we see at Thrive is there's a lot of caregivers for a spouse. So that causes you as the caregiver to be isolated as well. Living rurally, transportation issues, there's a lot of issues why folks over the age in aging adult population may become socially isolated. So that was a problem that was a problem we were trying to address.
There's a couple of kind of core things that need to be kind of understood. Operating a computer and a Zoom system and all of this can be off-putting for people who don't have a lot of technology background. And it's a poor substitute for being with other people. Mm-hmm. What you realize, and you don't realize it unless you've actually done it, is the headset, the virtual reality headset, the Oculus 3 in my case, is a lot easier to understand. I find it much easier to understand than my Apple Watch. But the big difference is you're not looking at a screen. It's not Hollywood Squares. when you're there, and it's not very hard to get to in terms of knowledge, the technology, you are actually there. You're sitting next to a lake in a pavilion and you're talking to a friend. It is an entirely different experience that really cannot be appreciated unless you've done it.
Like surround sound with birds. It's really, really cool, you guys. I'm
You're
very
really there. And
I'm
Yeah.
so
seeing it
excited to
artificially
share.
through
what you-
Zoom, it's a different experience.
Yeah, even when we share today, it is different when you're on Zoom, but it's the best we can do. So anyway, so we take that problem in my experience professionally and with my family, we said, okay, can we experiment with this, right? That really started as an experiment to see, would older adults, aging adults actually use this technology? Do they use it? Could we come up with things to do, continuously? Would they continue to show up? Could we find them? All those sorts of things. So it really was an experiment. So we started it as a nonprofit organization, which still is, back in April of 2022. If we look at today, we have over 1,600 members, and that's growing. Here's the interesting part of the demographic, though, because we knew in general kind of there's this problem, right? But as we look at our demographic and who tends to come to Thrive, and we've done some studies with the University of South Australia. Our members are between the ages of 50 and 85. Interesting, and they're living independently. So they're living at home. So they're not they're not, so certainly not in assisted living. We have several members that might be in like 55 plus communities. We have very few that are living, let's say, in independent living in a CCRC. Although as time goes by, we do see some people moving into CCRCs. And a huge amount of them are retired. About 60% of our members are retired. So when you think about living independently, retired, these are people that are still living vibrant, active lives. They're not patients. Often when we talk about age tech, patients and medical conditions, and that's what they start to talk about. We don't talk about that at Thrive. Our members are active, they're vibrant. They may have some do have underlying medical conditions, but that doesn't define them, right? They are people that are looking for friendships and fun. So we do have a few that do have a limiting health condition. So what I want to do is, so what do we do? So we are designed really around activities. So you can think of it like a senior center or a senior community that you would find in a city or town. So we have activities pretty much every day of the month, and they vary. Some are physical activities where we have exercise classes. Some are social, where it's just like having a monthly birthday party. Some things are spiritual, like meditation. Some things are intellectual, like Steve runs a writer's workshop, a monthly writer's workshop where people go and talk about writing books. We have book clubs. So several lifelong learnings, a lot of intellectual things. We have a theater company that actually just did 2 shows of a murder mystery live on stage in virtual reality. So lots of different things, lots of different activities, because not everybody's the same or likes the same stuff. But we try and vary it so that there's something that people can use to connect with others and then build friendships from there. So probably the best way to describe this is we were really fortunate that Meta at their annual shareholders meeting back in, I think in May, actually visited one of our members, Linda Fisher, who I see is online. They actually spent 2 days with Linda, filming her doing stuff at the Thrive Pavilion. It's really just a great story of what it is. It's 2 minutes. And so I'm just going to share that video because it gives a really great description of what Thrive is and why Thrive exists and what the value is to the people that participate. So let me go ahead and play this. Can you hear the sound?
No.
Rob,
Can't
when
hear
you
the sound.
share,
Okay.
there's a button that says share the sound. It comes up.
Yes, yeah, that's what I forgot. So give me 1 second. Let me hit that.
I've done this a lot.
Yeah. You know what? When I practice, like, I got to remember to hit that button.
Try being a
But,
professor during COVID.
Then
You know
I did.
what we-
Yeah.
You know what we haven't mentioned to anybody with the,
Together into VR.
We got it. It works.
is it's free.
Life can be very difficult.
Is that better?
For older
Yes.
people who could be isolated. It's difficult to find people that you can connect with. I saw the Facebook page for Thrive Pavilion. The mission statement was to bring older adults together into VR to socialize. It said that they were meeting in Horizon Worlds on the MetaQuest. And I was like, that's for me.
Hey, Lynn. Hi, Linda.
People will be welcoming. They'll say, hey, come with us. Let's play.
Are you coming to bowling later?
We have bowling nights. Everybody has Forever Bowl.
Hey. Oh, look, there's a treasure chest.
You're in mixed reality. You see the bowling alley right in your room.
Nice strike.
It feels like you've invited a bunch of friends over to come and play.
They are too good.
They also have messenger chat, so you can connect with people that way.
Have you done improv before?
Because I'm interested in improv, I set up a couple of events. I call them improv games.
Leaping Linda.
It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of joking around and stuff.
Ripping muscles, Rob.
Lucky Lotto.
Meeting so many other people who are in the same place, it gives me a lot of comfort. You're not limited by your aging body. You can just go in there and have a good time.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, so it's really great for Meta
Robert.
to produce that.
Robert, we have a celebrity on here, Linda Fisher.
Yeah,
The-
Linda Fisher, she's on the call. Yeah, we have a celebrity, exactly. And really thank Linda for opening up her home for literally 2 days. There she is. Hey, Linda, thank you so much for doing that.
Linda, that was that's a heartfelt, amazing video.
Yeah, that's really cool.
is.
It's really cool. So the question is, so how do we fund our mission? Through individual fundraising. So the activities that Thrive are available really to any aging adult that can join us in our virtual reality. So we have individual, fundraisers, there's philanthropic grants. We're working very heavily right now on corporate sponsorship programs. But I think it's a great cause marketing that for, if you look at our demographic of people that are there, they're independent, they're healthy, they're planning for their future. It's dealing with a very important problem in our society today. So it is the Thrive Pavilion is a great way to associate a brand with what we're doing. We're also working on some content development programs, like educational programs in terms of around finances as you age, and other sort of program developments. We're looking to develop, as I said, we have a lot of caregivers that are in Thrive. So we're looking to develop a thing like caregiver support groups and programming around that. And you always can go to our website to see what we're all about, but also you can go to thrivepavilion.org/donate to find out more about our fundraising as well.
Heather, there's an issue that people who are not familiar with this will be asking themselves. And this is this issue of these cartoonish avatars. The human brain is very adaptable. The avatars, those cartoons that were just coming across the screen on the film that Linda was portrayed in, those are the people I know. I'm actually having a little bit of a problem at this moment because the Rob that I know, and I've known for quite a number of months and chatted a lot, is his avatar. And that is the real person. This is the first time I've ever actually seen Rob.
So
that issue of being a cartoon is forgotten very quickly. In the same way that our great-grandparents got over the fact that they could talk to someone over a telephone and they couldn't see them. We're very adaptable. Those are the friends I've made.
It's funny you said that because behind the scenes, before you guys all got on this call, he looked at Robert and he goes, Robert, I've never seen you. I've only seen your avatar. And it was kind of like a shock to the face. By the way, that's very much what most of us within EXP, we live in an avatar world. We have avatars. Yes, we've got our business cards and our faces, but we react and we are doing everything with our avatar in the world. So when we actually meet people, we're like, ooh, it's kind of throws you off. So I get it. It's interesting.
The movie Surrogate from some years ago with Bruce Willis. You'll recall that. Same thing.
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
go ahead. So what I'm going to do is, if you have questions for myself or for Steve, I'm going to start transitioning into the headset. So I'll get that going, but it's a good opportunity if there are questions that the audience has, or Heather, if you have any specifically that have come up while we're doing the transitions, good time we can address them.
yes, one of the things we did not talk about is I'll let you transition, but like cost. That's a big thing when we're talking about, is there a monthly cost? What kind of fees are there?
Yeah,
I can talk about that a little bit, or as he goes, or go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Well, the bottom line is it's extraordinarily inexpensive. I mean, when you think about what people kill, what an iPhone costs or your Apple Watch, even the best version of the headset as it stands right now, the Oculus 3, is a few $100s. And to do the kinds of things and this whole range of activities that are part of the Thrive Pavilion, they don't cost anything. Now, someone like me who goes beyond Thrive, and I take regular, and it's hard to believe, but I'm taking classes in French, Chinese, Spanish, in virtual reality, where I'm having a conversation in a bar, practicing French or Chinese or whatever it is. Now, those kinds of things have subscriptions, so you can pay more, there's applications. But the bottom line in terms of what this community,
Right.
this extraordinary new community that has never existed before, that
Yeah.
Rob is talking about, we're talking about a couple of $100s. And
So
really nothing.
basically, the platform is free, from what I'm hearing. Platform's
It's
free.
part of Meta.
Engaging the platform. However, you have to have the Meta goggles or something to be able to the headset. So it's only the cost of the headset. Wouldn't it be great if we had a VR company that donated headsets and then we can donate them to those?
Well, as an academic, I'm expecting the same thing that happened a generation ago, when people like Apple would give large numbers of computers, or you would have the IBM versions being given. I'm assuming, because I lived through this, several versions of this, that you're going to be seeing schools receiving these things free, senior citizens' homes. It's going to follow the same path we saw and with the introduction of the digital revolution in the first place.
Yeah. I always say it's like we used to have a PTA when we were younger to help us, navigate growing up. Now we need, and I call it the National Aging in Place Council in our chapters, to help us age in place safely through things like
Heather, can I say something very quickly that's important?
Yes.
Okay. This is going to give people an idea what this is like, but also an inappropriate idea. When you look at what Rob is doing, is casting. And when you're watching casting through a screen, it moves around a lot and it makes you feel like you're about to vomit. When you're inside with the headset on you, it's no different than just looking around. It doesn't have that jerkiness. So you're getting a taste, but it can be a little off-putting because it's not the real experience. And that should be understood by people who are watching this.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know, because you are right. I've been on the headset and it's different. But Robert, why don't you or Stephen, one of you, tell us, who's that? Oh, look at that.
That's the guy I know.
Right. That's who Steve knows. So that's my.
So you're really looking at yourself in a mirror, and that's the outfit.
In a mirror at the moment.
Okay, very.
That's what I chose. I dress as bad in virtual life than I do in physical life. So that's just the way it is.
Okay.
But
and is that like, do you have a virtual home that you have or something? Because I noticed some stuff.
Yeah, this is like your virtual home where you start. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where the Thrive Pavilion is located.
So most people don't realize you need this little joystick thing just to help you get through some things.
Well, you have these controllers, but it's increasingly being structured around being able to just use your hands. The transition is going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great thing about technology, as I tell people all the time, the technology is as bad as it's ever going to be, right? And it's always getting better. We've talked about avatars,
Heather,
even in the 2 years that we've been around.
And for gripping people with gripping issues, that's great. not hard, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
People
so
that have
what I'm
heard
doing
you.
right now is I'm actually going to the physical space, if you want to call it the physical space, that is the Thrive Pavilion. So right here is what our our weekly activity calendar. You can see more of our activity calendar if you go to our website, but you can see some of the things that we did this week. We had a presentation about hippies and the summer of love. That was also by Linda Fisher. Some exercise, Steve's writer's workshop, some mini golf,
It's about writing
a book
autobiography.
club, and here we are today. We're gonna go and play Jeopardy a little bit, but these are the things that have done this week, and also some of the fun that we're going to be having. Let's say on Friday night, we have every other week Friday karaoke event, which is a lot of fun. If you
And you
like to
also
sing
have
or
a
just listen to
Facebook
people sing.
group, right? You have a
We
Facebook
have a
group.
Facebook group as well. Yeah, that's really how most people find us, is through social media. We have a very vibrant social media, and that's where people will generally encounter us first. Like people will buy, let's say, their headset for maybe to exercise or something like that, and then they're like, well, what else can I do with it? And they'll find the Thrive Pavilion group on Facebook. But so I don't see anybody here at the moment, but generally we use this place as a gathering place, and then we'll go and do something else. But we have our little lake here and a pavilion in our park. If I go up into the building, you can see the room that we use for book club. This is where a book club meets, or our discussion groups and things like that will happen in this room. So we'll use this quite often, and people will come here. And um, what happens is, and here we've got some people arriving now, is people will start to do things at Thrive, right? So they're an individual, and then they come to socialize a little bit at the Thrive Pavilion. But then they make friends, and they'll go off and do things that are not related to Thrive, right? But they've made friends in this virtual world, and then they have a social life in 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 uh, in virtual reality as well, with friends that they have made here at Thrive. So that's really our goal, right? Is for people to expand their social network and socialization by using this platform, and we're a bit of a gateway to that. So we've got a few friends. We have Lisa LL Lab. She's a very original um, member of Thrive. She's probably been here for 2 years, almost since day one. And Carp, he is one half of a couple. We also have many couples that are part of the Thrive Pavilion as well. So Carp and his wife participate quite often in different activities. And a few new members.
What's
I don't know if I've met Frithie before.
Robert, what is probably the most attended event that you do within this virtual world?
Sorry.
It varies so much because not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
And I would say that the thing that people attend the most, there's some people that like the social aspects, like a coffee hour or a hangout and chat that we do. And then there's other people that like playing the games or playing walkabout mini golf, playing mini golf. It really varies. That's why we have so many different type of activities, because we just know that people don't,
Yeah.
just like in the physical world, people don't do all the same things.
So you kind of have it's
we
nice.
keep it varied.
Yeah,
It's worth probably mentioning
Hmm.
that an awful lot of people who are watching this are going to think, well, I don't like to do computer games, and so they will be turned off
Hmm.
by this. But the fact of the matter is that that's often the way people in an entree. But what is growing is a much larger
Hey, Trey.
world to attract an awful lot of other kinds
Hey,
of people
Rob,
and
how
other
you
kinds of
doing?
interests. I don't personally
Right.
like games at all,
Yeah.
and yet I get a great deal out of this new community that
Mhm.
Rob has created.
Robert and Stephen, two of the questions that we have here is, what if they don't have a computer? And many seniors are not tech savvy. So how do you answer those two questions? Because those are really good questions.
Yeah. So one, you don't need a computer. The headset is all by itself. So you don't need a computer to be part of to use it. And many of our members don't have computers. It's all self-contained and inside of the headset. All you really need is Wi-Fi. In terms of computer savviness, and this is like one of those topics that I really could talk about for 3 hours, coming from the technology field, is that when we think about older adults and saying that they're not good at using technology, what they're not good at using is the abstraction of using a two-dimensional piece of glass. But in here, you're actually using your body. So if I want to look over to the left, I don't have to know what key combination I need to look left. I just turn my head, right? If there is, like here, a button that's on this tablet, right? I'm going to grab this tablet with my hand, and then I'm going to push this button with my hand. So I didn't have to learn anything. Virtual reality is very skeuomorphic.
Let me
So
add one
those
more piece.
abstractions that made technology work when you're using a two-dimensional piece of glass, you don't need to know those anymore.
Let me add one
So
more
because
piece.
you're
that,
using what you learned when you were 2 years old,
Yeah.
like how to turn your head or how to grab something with your hand or press a button.
Yeah.
So
Heather,
that's it's not to say that there aren't any abstractions,
Yeah,
but
Dr. Lebo.
there's a lot less.
Yeah, Dr. Lebo had one thing to
What I was
add.
gonna say was, and here I want everybody to be reminded that when you're in this world, it's not jerking around. But this particular thing that Rob is doing, he's casting. It also makes it easy to teach people. I've done this a lot. You can have someone in your living room, you put the headset on, you can cast it to your television, and then someone who's been watching television half their life, sitting on their couch, can learn how to do it. It's an interesting way it's an entree. And once you go inside, there's some tutorials. But as I said before, it's a lot easier than running an Apple Watch or an iPhone. And there is this entree, this casting thing that he is doing right now, which makes it easy to teach other people. And I've done it.
Okay, so Robert,
Okay.
I guess we're going in to do Jeopardy.
You notice we misspelled Jeopardy, so that Sony Entertainment doesn't come after us. That's why we spelled it Geoparody.
So
That's a
But
good
this is
idea.
our
Okay.
yeah,
All
right,
right,
exactly.
just
So
in
this
case,
is
Joe.
our
Thank you.
our Jeopardy world. But here's amazing. And here's the amazing thing about this world. It was built with the help of Thrive members. So whether they tested it or did some of the development, so it has given what Thrive also does. It can also gives people purpose, right? And by either leading events, like Linda Fisher leads events. We have other people that lead events, or by doing some of the building stuff here, like building worlds. Like Queen Andalyn did a lot of testing for this world, and she's going to host the game. So it gives people not only just activities, but it gives some people purpose as well, because they give back. Like Kate Robbie, hey Kate, she runs our karaoke on Fridays, right? Pony Girl and Queen and Elena were all part of our theater group, right? So it's an opportunity for people to take the things that they like in the physical world, but then offer it in the virtual world. And we have our audience. Hello, audience. How are you? So we got a lot of folks here. But so here's an interesting thing. I'm not gonna ask specifics here, but just so people get sort of an idea who are on the call of our backgrounds. Raise your hand if you're over 50. Okay.
Everyone, okay.
Keep your hand up if you're over 60. It's quite a few. If you're over 65, right? So you can see we've got lots of members that are over 65 that are here using this technology. Yeah, there you go. I'm not over 65. I'm just waving. So I think what we do is we'll spend a few minutes Queen Andalyn is going to play the host, and we've got 3 great contestants: Kate Robbie, Pony Girl, and Elena Beth. All right, take it away, Queen.
All right. So on that note, Kate, will you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us where you're from, please?
Sure. I'm Kate Robbie. I live in central Indiana, outside of Indianapolis. I've been a Thrive member for 2 years. When did Thrive start?
2
I
years.
was an early
2 years.
member of Thrive, so I've
Mhm.
been a Thrive member for quite a while. I'm not retired, but I do mostly the evening events. And yes, I love to karaoke, so I host karaoke now in VR.
Karaoke's great. Hi, yes, I'm Lisa Ridgie, aka Pony Girl, and I've been in Thrive for about 3 months, and I am just enjoying every moment of it. I go to karaoke, I come to play Jeopardy. I'm part of the crafting group. I've yet to hit the new member because I don't feel like a new member anymore. But I'm from the South Florida area, Fort Lauderdale area.
Thanks,
She's
Pony
in
Girl.
my area, Robert.
And hi, I'm
That's
Elena.
right. Yeah, she is.
I'm Elena Bat, and I live in Los Angeles. We're in the middle of an event that I attended in Thrive a few days ago. There was an earthquake happening. I grew up in New York City, born and bred in New York City, and I have so much fun in Thrive, playing Hamlet and murder mysteries and Jeopardy and Pyramid and leading world hops and just meeting really wonderful people. And book club. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting thing that like Lena mentioned is there's and we didn't know this when we started it because we really didn't know what we were doing when we started it, to be honest, is that how many members give back and do things with and for the community, and that's really great to see. Like Queen Anne, who's now gonna host a quick round of Jeopardy.
Yes.
And I love it that it's being done right
Great,
from
so
their
we're
own
gonna
home.
Start the game.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
All right, here we go. And ladies, our categories tonight are movies, mockbuster movies, in or out, boy bands, Broadway musical, and inventions. So, Kate, you get to choose the first question. What will that be tonight?
Oh, hot dog. I want boy bands for 200, Queen Anne.
Boy bands? Oh, there it is. For 200?
Yes,
All right.
please.
Well, okay. There we go. All right. Every spring, you can count on seeing the It's Gonna Be May meme based on a song by this group. Kate Robbie.
Okay, it's one of 2, so I'm gonna say NSYNC.
What is?
What is?
What is NSYNC?
Yeah, remember to say what is. You have to ask me the question. That's a correct answer. All right. Kate, you get to choose again.
All right, I would like Broadway musicals for 1,000.
Oh, wow. She's going big. All
Or
right.
go home.
After winning, and whoa, I didn't even get to read that, but the audience, you can see, you can read it. Elena Beth, what is your question? I was going to say La La Land. Oh no! I know it. I lost it. I forgot. I did it too quick. All right, so Pony Girl or Kate, do you want to take the challenge and pick up that question? I know it.
Mm-mm.
All right. The correct answer is what is Dean Evan Hansen?
Yeah.
Dear
Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear
Evan
Evan
Hansen.
Hansen.
Yeah.
Probably. All right. You're right. That's what happens when you don't have glasses.
Because I was
Virtual
looking at the
or
TV
real?
show. They did Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. I guess I'll get away from that console a little bit. All right, Kate, go ahead and pick another question.
Oh, okay, let's try in or out for 200. Curious what that is.
All right. Each November, the American Cancer Society encourages. All right, Kate.
What is the grape smokeout?
That is correct. Good job.
Good job.
All right, you get to choose another question.
I like the applause. May I have movies for 200, please?
Which, oh, just the movies for 200?
Mhm.
Okay. As Racer X or Sparky Bobby, this race car speedster first flashed across the screens in 1967. Kate,
What is Speed Racer?
that is a correct answer.
Yes.
My goodness.
That's what I was thinking, and I didn't think it could be right.
All right, next question.
Oh, how about Broadway musicals for 200, please?
Okay. Tina Fey. Whoa, I didn't even get that one out. Oh, Kate.
What is Mean Girls?
That's correct
Very
answer.
good. Very good.
Now, as the audience can see, Kate gets to keep choosing. There's a little asterisk on our board here that keeps us on track. So the person who gets to choose has the asterisk until someone else gets a correct answer. So, Kate, you get to choose again.
All right, let's try Mockbuster movies for 200, please.
All right, this 1993 film spoofs various Robin Hood movies, especially Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
All I can think of is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I know this. This is so stupid. I know this. Have fun storming the castle.
Okay, Kate.
No, it's out of my brain completely. Yeah.
All right, Pony Girl, Elena, do you want to pick this up?
I'm not sure enough.
All right. The correct answer is, what is Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Tights, there you
Oh
go.
yeah.
Never
All right, so I'm
mind
going to
then.
come,
Yes,
Heather,
I
I'm going to
should've
come
known
back
that.
to you how that in the physical world.
Okay,
Yes, that would
so,
be
But you
great.
can see there's lots
Yeah.
of different things, lots of different activities that we do. This
wait, did
kind of
you-
falls
okay, you
into the
guessed incorrectly. What,
intellectual.
Kate?
You know, it's
I was wrong,
Yes,
correct?
fun,
she
but
was
also
wrong.
intellectual.
Yeah, so Pony Girl,
Some people
you
are
get to choose.
really good at stuff like this.
Uh,
We do
movie
things
for
like
400.
Wheel of Fortune,
All right.
which is
The
you know
first
your
connection is based on the work
has
of
you
this
know
New York cop.
puzzles like word puzzles. We play Metafeud. We're doing that next week, and that's a lot of fun as well. So we have lots of different games that we play here
Boy, do I have brain
that
fog
are
tonight.
that you would think of being intellectual,
I'm just
kind of
thinking
test
of the
Okay, the
you know,
correct
different
answer
movies.
stressing
is
your brain.
Jimmy.
So
Who
I'm
is
gonna
Detective
quit
Jimmy
out of here
Popeye
now,
Doyle?
oh,
and I'll come join you again on Zoom.
Thank
Heather,
you.
what you were noticing was the conversation of people in the background. One of the nice things about this system is that you can turn off those extraneous sounds which are distracting.
Yeah.
You can be with people or you can nod and turn off those sounds. And that was just sort of spilling over from the area that where Rob was. But that's not necessarily something you would have to deal with. In the same way that casting is very different from being there. It feels like you're on the Jeopardy stage.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're watching TV.
Yeah, because you're looking
There's a
out at the audience.
facsimile. Yeah, and people should get a sense that don't be turned off by some of the more negative elements because that's not what we're experiencing.
It is fascinating, which you have done, Robert. I mean, you know how I feel about you. I love this platform. I love what you're doing. And I love how this community is thriving. It really, truly is. You could not have made a better name for it. You know, it's eye-opening to see like that this world exists. But what's really hard is that nobody other than us that are here on this call or that are going to see it on our platforms are going to know about it without us talking about it or people clipping things from this episode that we're talking about and putting it on social media. But it's heart-wrenching if any of you, and most of us are a sandwich generation or are in the older demographics, that know somebody or that person or may have a family member that is combating loneliness or isolation. And isolation is they took a slip and a fall and they can't leave the house. Give them a pair of these Oculus, for a holiday gift or a birthday, and let them explore another way of being social. Because the minute you take away that social thing, then becomes, then it becomes it's a hard thing to get over. And we do know that it's hit, our older populations hit the hardest.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
One
So-
thing that I always find myself thinking about is, the older you are, and as I said, I'm in my mid-70s, the harder it is to take on new kinds of things. And I kind of have the idea that before you're in a situation where you can't go out or whatever it is, but you're fairly old, it's better, I believe, to learn this early so
Yeah.
that the skills are already in place
Not
before,
reactionary.
so you already know how to do it when you get to the point where you can get something out of it, but not necessarily well able to learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how that's going to work. We're going to see that over time. My guess is the earlier you learn it, the better.
Well, okay, so it's a reactionary thing. Oh, I won't need it until it's like a grab bar, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to look like your granny's grab bars. There's beautiful things out there, but when you look at it as a big picture, it's the thought of what it used to look like versus what it can look like now. Like, this is really cool. This is better than therapy and cheaper. Like, when you really think about it, it is cheaper than anything. And when you look at those statistics that Robert was telling us at the beginning, it's kind of mind blowing. Why more companies, as I was saying before, like, they're not just handing over VR, glasses so older adults can be more connected to our community. It's one
The
of the
innovators and the innovators and the engineers are all about 25, and they have no idea about this
Yeah,
world.
but those kids wouldn't be here today without people like you. You kind of started in that realm before we really had computers,
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at the generation now that is aging, as Steve had mentioned, it is the generation of Wozniak and the generation of Steve Jobs. So it is people that created these technologies, and are at least familiar with it, and probably use it in their work life. Maybe not always, but certainly for quite a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I mean, the like the video that we showed, the community voices story that featured Lynn Fisher, that helps. I'm hoping that during Meta, I mean, they spent a lot of money on it. They showed it to their large investors, so it's important to them, right? I'm hoping they haven't really released it publicly yet. My feeling is that they're waiting for their Connect event next month. Well, they'll show it again before they release it. So it is something that they want to talk about for sure. And the more stories like this get out, I think the more older adults will see it and realize that there's something to them. Because generally, when you ask like, well, how do people find it? We talked a little bit about social media. So the very typical story is like, I bought it to do exercise. It was just kind of a very typical story. I bought it to do something individually, to meditate or do exercise or watch videos or something on it. And they're like, oh, well, what are seniors doing with it? I'm a senior. What are they? And that's how they're finding us, is through social media or YouTube, things like this that can be helpful, and that brings them to the community. And then they build friends where they spend hours a week and hours a day not doing Thrive activities, but spending time with people that they met at Thrive.
That's so cool. I think that's so cool. And it's from all over the world. I mean,
yeah,
most of it, it's in our region. So I want to stop talking because I really want to open it up to the people that are on this call that have questions for you guys or that want to talk to you about it. So if there is people out there that do want to ask, can you just raise your hand? I'm happy to just let you guys ask questions if there's any questions, or if you don't want to, pop it in the chat box. Anybody? Did they answer all of your questions? Maybe.
I don't know
Oh,
about anybody else. I'm
Jody.
still trying to process everything.
Jody, go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm a member of Thrive since last October, and I find it absolutely fascinating. I went into VR with the hope of connecting with other people because my wife is immunocompromised, and for the last 4 years, we've lived in a cave. Though we live in a 55 plus active adult community, there's still issues and
Mhm.
masks and so forth. So we've been relegated to home and we've gotten used to it. But Thrive itself has opened the doors for me. I have made so many friends. I've become so involved with the things that I do. I'm not a gamer, but I really believe in the concept of creating emotional connections with people. And you can do that here because with avatars, you don't have those barriers of what you look like, what you're wearing. It's all just you. It's all just the person across from you who you
Yeah.
speak. And as Dr. Lebo said, it's experiential, and this is not like Zoom. It's like you're there. And I always say that to people. It's like you're there because the people whom you're dealing with are the people whom you're dealing with. They're real.
Yeah. Now, at any given day, like how many people are you guys interacting with? Because it sounds like you're really coming across a lot of various types of people and things, activities. Like on any
Yeah.
Jody, are
So
you meeting new people every day?
I wouldn't say every day, but I am, meeting people whom I wish to get to know better, just like you do in the real world. You don't want to just meet people for the sake of being in a crowd of people. You want to have people whom you have interest in and who have interest in you. So some people aren't particularly interested, others are. And it's just like the real world, except it's here and it's easy to get to. You don't have to travel anywhere. You don't have to get dressed. I mean, like
No
before
traffic.
the Zoom, I'm sitting here in a t-shirt. And I said, no, I got to put on a regular shirt of some sort in case this thing goes live. So you don't have to do that in VR. You don't have to do that in Thrive. It's not that way.
But if you're so
I
inclined, you can change the shirt of your avatar.
yeah.
But I'm boring and I never change anything.
yeah, he's
Neither
never
do I,
changed.
you know that.
I
Mhm.
think what Robert, by the way, what you have done here is absolutely mind-blowing and fascinating. And I hope you get all the funding in the world for this because you know how I feel about this platform and you and everything you're doing here. I wish more people knew about it, and more people knew about Jody and Linda and Dr. Lebo. But listening to all of your stories individually and how it's helped each one of you in a different way is fascinating because it goes to show exactly what Jody, what you're saying is that it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, or what you look like. You will find somebody to connect with that's on your level, right?
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
matter what you're looking for. So you'll be able to have that connection. It goes back to what Robert said is when he did this, it was that I have to connect with, my peeps. And I guess now listening to your stories, you guys are all connecting to your little people. And Dr. Lebo, I can't wait to see this educational series that you're going to do or put together or whatever you're doing, because higher learning is something I know most of us really love, especially as we get older. We kind of feel like we're kind of flatlining in life, so we want to learn something new. You with the languages,
Well,
but that's
I'm
fun.
really reminded, because I'm from Silicon Valley, that I was using a very early version, not the internet, the ARPANET, before that, about 1976. And it was the internet. And I would type in show users, and it would list 12 people. And you would send a message to number 6 or number 5. to me, this is the beginning of the beginning, and I've already seen this movie, and it's an extraordinary one.
I love it. I love that. And we're on the bottom level together. Really are. So, Robert,
Yes.
where do you see this in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So, we always get that question where we're at fifth. We'll use a round number. Let's say we're at 2000, right? So I can envision what this probably looks at 20,000, which really is like scaling up. We can have more activities at more times that are more convenient for people in more time zones and things like that. That's 20,000. The technology is evolving to say, well, what is this when it's 200,000 or 2 million? And that's as we look to the future and figure out how does something like this scale. I think that it does. It scales just like other community scale in the physical world, right? Where because you're not going to have a Thrive Pavilion of 2 million people. That doesn't make sense. It's that's a city rather than a community. So I think that what we have built is replicatable. The worlds that we built, the activities that we run, they're replicatable for other populations, so whether it's local to California or Florida or Canada or wherever, or different sort of populations, it is a replicatable thing that can help expand it so that more and more people can take advantage of Thrive.
Yeah. Sylvia, open up, please, your mic and just ask Robert questions. I'm happy to Sylvia Bennett's got some questions for you.
Oh, sure.
My question was, is the equipment included? And what is the cost and how do you introduce it to others? And do you need a high-speed internet? Because you were saying you do karaoke, and I know, for instance, during the pandemic, Zoom, people trying to sing, I'm in a choir, and everything was lagging all the time. And actually, for working at home, I had to get better internet, period. But those were my questions.
Yeah, so we really, as an organization, Thrive, we really focused on the activities and the community building, right? We've not focused on the hardware acquisition. So everybody that is a member of Thrive has purchased their own headset. So the least expensive headset right now, which is a MetaQuest 2, is $200. And there are various different models. The model that I was wearing and that Steve was showing is about 500. So they do vary in price, but the $200 headset does everything that we did just fine. In terms of how are people finding us? It's been through social media. In some cases, it is people that know, like have friends. They've introduced their friends to Thrive in the physical world. Also, sometimes they have made other friends online, maybe by playing walkabout mini golf or something like that, and they'll find out that they're an older, an aging adult, and so they'll tell them about Thrive. So that's how we've been acquiring people. In terms of, we're really looking to partner with, let's say, local organizations that are working with aging adults that may have a population that's, let's say, local to a county or to a city. Because like I said, what we have done at Thrive is replicatable for other communities that already exist. And it's a great way to reach their populations that may be isolated. The activities at Thrive are free, but we've been very fortunate that our members are willing to participate in our fundraisers so that we can afford the things that we need to do to keep it active and keep it growing.
Is there a minimum age requirement?
No, there's really no minimum age requirement. And we have people like their grandchildren have participated sometimes in activities. Our activities are definitely geared towards older adults, like our discussion groups, our lifelong learnings, the types of games that we play, the questions. You notice that the questions that were in Jeopardy were kind of things that the older generation would know. Like there's not a lot of Taylor Swift questions and stuff like that. So we do focus a lot of our content for older adults. There are people like we don't check your card. So you can be younger, and if you're looking to socialize and cool with hanging out with an older crowd, you're more than welcome to participate. We really don't want to be, we don't want to be ageist in the other direction.
No, but at the same time, you saw like the average age, so it was interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Linda, our star.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that one of the things about Thrive that's unique, if you have a headset and you just go into some of these platforms like Meta Horizon World, you're alone in an anarchistic environment. And many times people are put off because they join these worlds and games and they're full of kids, and it can give you a lot of anxiety. But when you find your way to Thrive, the members are, because they're older adults, they're really helpful. So if you don't know how to push your joystick to move, there's going to be 10 people that are going to be really willing to sit and work with you and get you, up to speed and show you how to go from world to world and what button to push and, what time things are and how to get things on your calendar. They're just very, very helpful. And you don't find that in a lot of these VR worlds.
Somebody asked, sorry. Somebody asked about, does an Oculus work too, or is it just Meta?
Yeah, an Oculus is just an old name for the Meta Quest. So if you have an Oculus 2, it still works. Yeah.
Following up on what Linda said, this is in a sense very much, it's not Zoom. It's as if you're there in the real world, except that it's even better than the real world. Because let's say you want to go to Yellowstone and there's 10,000 tourists there. You can go to Yellowstone, the equivalent in this world, and have 10,000 people there. Or you can go into your own version of Yellowstone and there's nobody there except you or your friends. And if there's that obnoxious person that you've hated since 6th grade, you can turn off their sound. So you have more power in this creation of the real world. It's an extraordinary combination of lots of real advantages.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's like, it's that nice mute button, looking at them without hearing anything. It's great. It's what my dad used to do with what he still does with his hearing aids. But now he just puts it on his phone to us.
Now you can be selective. Just turn off the person you don't want to hear.
Right. When I was younger, he used to we would watch him do it. And now it's like, but yeah, it's fascinating to see where technology is heading. But to wrap up this call, because I know we all gotta go, Robert, this is amazing. And I wish you the best of luck with this, because it's so needed. There's a lot more out there. I wish more people heard about this and knew about it. I wish more people that are even my age that are handling and dealing with their parents could tell their parents about it and help their parents, because it's everything. It's not just an older adult thing. It's a every generation thing. We all think it's cool, right? So
yeah, we have a lot of members that connect with their family members. Like we have a couple of pairs of sisters that live far away from each other, and this is how they connect. So they participate and Thrive, and so one probably started. Generally, is what happens. It's like, hey sis, this is really cool. Get yourself a headset, or I'm going to buy you one, and then they'll participate and Thrive, and then they go off and do other things too. We have a couple of sister pairs that socialize, not just at Thrive, but in VR. I think the bottom line is we built on authentic communities. You can tell. So you have Jody and Steve, Stephen and Linda that are willing to participate and talk about it.
You listen to the community,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Do you have rooms that have card games or mahjong?
We do. We call mahjong. So
But you're
So
not allowed
so
to have a
Linda is
Did somebody say
yeah
Mahjong?
yeah exactly. So we are working on a mahjong. We are working on it. So that's
And there is chess, mini
yeah.
golf.
There
everything else.
I got my
yeah a lot of
card.
card games.
I got my card. I'll be there. I'll visit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do. Yeah. So we do. There are things like that too. Just what you would very typical.
I want to thank you all for showing up and telling us all about it. Again, tell everybody where they can go to find all of you guys. And I am going to get my mother set up with one of these metas and on here.
There you go.
So,
Yeah. Get your mom a headset. So this is how you can find us. It's at thrivepavilion.org is our website. Search for us on Facebook or on LinkedIn, Thrive Pavilion. If you have a headset, it's called Thrive Pavilion and Horizon Worlds. So these are the ways that you can find us. Our activity calendar is in all these locations so that you can see what's coming up. And yeah, love to have your mom join us.
I'll be in there too. I want to teach some classes. We'll
Yeah,
talk,
absolutely.
Mr. Levo.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Mhm.
Thank you again, guy. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Robert, I'll see you at the next meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Heather.
Talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.